So, guys, we're going to be recording our demo for the presentation, and we'll see how we do when we do it. Hey, look, you can see.
Bro, I'm dancing with you, bro.
How far should I put it? I should put it pretty far. So you can see this and the oven.
Bro, where did the freaking thing that goes?
Okay, I'll skip to it. Guys, I'm not like nervous, but like I am, but I'm not. Like, I have like everything I need right here. So, explain your ingredients and cooking techniques correctly. Use words middle schoolers can understand. Yeah. Introduction. End with a quick recap or conclusion. All that jazz, you know. So, ready? Yeah. So, we're about to start. We got the pleating done. And if you're standing there, you're going to be seeing. But, okay, anyways. So the class is going to watch us perform, and the class is going to watch us, and we're going to do this, and we're going to be good at it. Ready, boys? Snap. And then we're going to transition. 3, 2, 1. Oh, wait, it didn't pause.
Oh, wait.
3, 2, 1.
Problem is probably the fact that literally this is gonna be so light. Where are we going? Do you want to go? We have to wait for Chef. Does Chef have to be here?
It's just gonna be hard to like have any fill in words for whatever.
Mark, we're doing speed, right?
We'll figure it out. Oh my gosh.
I am the kitchen.
I'm ready.
Okay. Jordyn can count me out. Jordyn, on, ready? Again. On, 2, 3. Que lo que, welcome. Today we are making churros from Spain. So, to begin with the churros, the most important thing, wash your hands. Actually, instead of going over there, we'll go over there. Let's start by washing our hands, because starting to make any food substances that you are going to consume, it's important to get rid of bacteria that is previously on your hands and any dirt. Wash your hands, you count 20 seconds, or what my old chef used to tell me, happy birthday twice.
And don't forget, you should use the water as hot as you can handle to, get rid of all the bacteria, make sure your hands don't still have any of that gross stuff on it.
Another important thing, when you turn on that sink, your hands that still have dirt and stuff on them, you don't want to wash your hands and then turn it off. You want to use the same napkin that you are drying your hands with to close that sink. Now, we can begin. So, like I said, we'll be making churros from Spain. Anybody, took a Spanish class? Any Spanish people here? Nice. Okay. So, have you guys made churros before or talked about churros? No. Okay. Well, good thing that today we will be talking about churros, because maybe your Spanish teacher didn't cover that. It's okay. So, you're going to start with a nice little pot here that we're going to start putting our ingredients in. And the reason why we're not starting this off on the heat is because this isn't supposed to be boiling. It's just a simmer, because this will be seasonings and water. So, you're going to start with 1 cup of water, or what my chef said, dihydrogen monoxide. I can't read that. Whew. lots of dihydrogen monoxide, right guys? We only need about a cup. So you're going to do 1 cup of dihydrogen monoxide, which is water. You should go to your science teachers and all that and be like, look, water is dihydrogen monoxide. They're going to be so thrilled you learned that. Culinary is also teaching some sciencey things, Anybody here like chemistry, biology? No shit. Okay. Oh, yeah. What's your favorite? Chemistry, biology, Which chemistry?
They don't have
Well, you'll be taking a chemistry class, and I'm going to tell you, it is so fun. Just learn the periodic table, and you'll get past that class very fast. We have our cup of water right here. Now, for our butter, you can melt it down, or you can cut it into cubes. And for me, I'll be using this bench scraper that you can use to scrape tables, whenever you want to get gunk stuff off. It'll help you clean. But also, it's one of my favorite things because instead of pulling out the knife, the bench scraper does the job. And you're going to do, with your butter that's softened, just little strips, little cubes and all that. And then you're going to put that in your water. And like I said, it doesn't need to boil, so it's just going to be a quick simmer. So that's why it's not on the stove right now. And then we're going to do 2 tablespoons of white sugar. And if you're wondering what a tablespoon is, this is a tablespoon. 3 teaspoons actually go into a tablespoon. If you're like a pinch is a quarter teaspoon or anything like that, well, this is your bigger one. White sugar. Anybody here like candy? Oh, I know. Yes. No? Oh, we got some differences. Okay. That's okay. The candy and all that stuff you eat, one of the main things in it is actually sugar. Sugar is the root of a lot of sweet stuff. Unless you want to go with the natural. I know Chef, you want to go with the natural, fruits, dates, good sweetener, honey. It doesn't have any hard.
I prefer good syrup.
Now, Chef is pouring me off. Now, how I was saying, go for the, there's your big one, tablespoon, smaller one, teaspoon. Okay, no, okay. We're gonna do a quarter teaspoon of these lovely seasonings. We have cinnamon, and we have nutmeg. And if you love going to your, Starbucks, you like that cinnamon mocha, caramel, all that stuff? No? Okay. Oh my gosh, tough crowd. Like, jeez. Tough crowd. Oh, I can't open it.
Put it over there, and then wrap those 2 pots of the stuff that you drink. Put it in the trash.
And another thing that is important is the difference between the measuring cups. There's the can. So we have our liquid measuring cups, and we have my favorite personally, the dry measuring ones. These are for your dry ingredients, sugar, flour, any type of seasonings. And, dihydrogen monoxide, if you want to do your water in here, if you want to do your milk. It's important because with this, it'll tell you the measurement, and all you have to do is just look below it, and you'll see right there. Anybody want to come up and see the measurement of that line? Okay, want to tell me where that was? But it's right below a cup. And if you were to do that with a dry measuring cup, it wouldn't be leveled out properly. Plus, it's easier to have that in there. walking around with your dry measuring cup. Oops, I spilled it all over the floor. Jordyn has her moments of spilling things too. She can tell you it is important for the different types of measurements. Now, since we have our cinnamon, nutmeg, and butter water, anybody want to come take a look? Oh, y'all just want to sit down, don't you? Nobody? I mean...
Oh, wow. Now, why did you put butter in water? Oil and water don't mix.
Because whenever we put it for a simmer, and we turn the heat off, we have to put the flour inside, and it's gonna mix all of it together. And it's just also, I understand it's a little confusing, butter, water, egg, vanilla, what are you doing with that? But it's to create a batter, and it's to make sure that it won't fall apart when it mixes with the flour and the different seasonings and all that to contain the flavor.
Flour's a binding agent.
Yes. Flour binds a lot of what we eat. It's in a lot of fluid foods that we eat. It's what creates the food, gluten and all that stuff. So now we're going to put it on the heat. And you don't want it to be too high. You don't want it to be too low. Let's go for a nice little medium. Anybody have a stove at home watch their mom cook? Yeah. You know the difference between the electric and the gas stoves? It's good. So, while we wait, preparation is very important. We're going to grab 1 cup of flour because our plan is that after this comes to a simmer and we're mixing it, we will add the flour in and we will fold it over and create some nice hard air into that, This is pretty big to fit into here. A little bit of a hassle. You know what's nice about dry measuring cups? We have a 1/4 cup and 4 of these go into this one thing, so that'll be easier for you. Once our heat is off and we mix in our flour, we're going to bring it over to our mixer and we're going to add our egg and vanilla, which this is our bowl, and we're going to put our egg in here. Does anybody want to come up and, crack the egg, measure the vanilla? Nice little small step.
How do I crack an egg?
Another thing, you have to wash your hands. If you want to put some gloves on, we don't want to spread any salmonella. Egg isn't the best to put with cooked ingredients and stuff. We don't want to
crack an egg with 1 hand. Anybody?
Anybody can crack an egg? You can?
You want to show us?
Bro, Leo, keep playing in my face. Anyways, so if you want to wear gloves or not,
What are you supposed to say in here?
that's what I'm showing. So funny. Chef, you're so funny. And what's easier is, you want to, stuff it on the table lightly. You want to crack it in there because if you do it on the edge of the bowl, the shell might go inside if you aren't careful or professional with it. And then Jordyn is whisking our
I pin it against the meat.
like a crack. Because if you do it on the side of the bowl, it might be like shell here. Unless you're good at it. You want to find out? You want to go for a soft medium just until you see a nice little dent. That's very soft. Little hard. Oh. Yeah, and then you just want to pull apart both halves
Oopsies.
That is why we clean up as we go. Good job. Everybody want to give a round of applause to Chef Suri?
0 for the
And then to our egg, we will be adding 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. Don't forget, after you clean up, you're going to want to sanitize your area. So you may have cleaned up the raw egg, but still not sanitary. Like that. Anybody here like vanilla?
Yes.
Yes. Do we have the people that like to measure out their vanilla, or their parents, or do we have the people that say, whatever the heart desires? Whatever the heart desires? Yes, nice, nice.
Who was the first person to make churro?
I thought we weren't allowed to ask questions. Now that it is simmering, we want to turn our heat off. And now we are going to give our cup of flour. We're going to bring this over because we do not want to have it on the heat still. We're going to do 4 of these 1/4 cup, a dry scoop. And the best way for me to at least level it out is by packing it to the side. But it is better to use a butter knife to pack it down and level it. Now that we have this, we're going to go in with our spatula and we are going to mix it. Does anybody want to mix it in this room? Come up. With a spatula, you're going to mix it. It would be easier with a whisk, but you're going to make sure that you fold all the bits over, you get all that over. It's like we got a future chef here. Oh my. Can you see how it's getting thicker? Yes. Does anybody want to come up and see how the consistency got thicker? Nobody has to be shy here. Thank you. Everybody want to give a round of applause to now that it is extremely thick. It is like a ball that you can literally roll and it won't stick to your hands. And we want to make sure that all of our flour clumps are not in there because not good to have, you mixing it and then it opens flowers everywhere. You want to make sure it's well incorporated. So now that we have that going, we're going to come over here. This there, you don't want to bring anything out hot. We're going to open this really, really nice looking mixer or hand mixer, whatever I am going to work with. Make sure it's plugged in, make sure these are out, make sure this is lower. You want to take this out and you want to be careful because things happen. You have your whisk, which incorporates air and makes it light and fluffy that you would use to make whipped cream. You have your paddle and you have my favorite, the hook for any dough to make your breads and stuff like that. Anybody here know what sourdough is? Eat sourdough? It's nice. Sourdough is actually a really good bread for you. Now, you're going to put this in here. See how that just pops in there? And now that that is in there, you're also going to bring over our vanilla and egg. And we'll make sure that you mix it. It smells really good. And then we're going to add in a little bit there. You just want to do half for now. See how that goes. Maybe we'll be using the whisk attachment because we want to make sure that it's incorporated very well. So by putting it in there, I want to make sure that both sides fit into this thing. And then you just scoop that up and you turn. And boom! You got it set up. You want to close these too because you don't want this just in case something happens to, have that going. But bring that. And then now we have it going. I do around the speed of 3, 4, maybe 5. And then remember, clean as you go. Cleaning is very important. You want to make sure that as things are going, clean, whatever you have used, whatever you haven't used, super important. And as we go along, we have Jordyn here, who is going to be making a chocolate ganache for our churros. Yeah? So, does anyone here know the difference between chocolate ganache and chocolate syrup?
Chocolate ganache is made sweet, and it has a consistency of tendency of chocolate melted.
Yeah. It does. So, I got some heavy cream. We're not going to use milk because if we use milk instead of heavy cream, it's just going to be runny and oily and it's not the consistency we want. I've got some chocolate chips. They're bittersweet. The sugar from the churros, the cinnamon sugar, it's a lot. Some people prefer their ganache to be sweet, but I don't. And you don't have to use chocolate chips. You can use like a regular chocolate bar, chop it up, works the exact same. Alright. Instead of using the dry measuring cups, we're going to use a liquid measurer and weigh it. You can use it by the cup, but we're going to weigh it because that's more accurate. When you put your cup on the scale, you're going to want to press tare. And what that does is it takes off the weight of the cup, so it can only detect the amount of chocolate you put in your scale. Does anyone want to help me weigh it? We're going to weigh 8 ounces, okay? So, 8 ounces. Just pour it in. So you see that number go up to 8. The rest of my vanilla egg mixture into here, and we're putting it back on so that it can stir, and
And then from there, we are going to be putting it in a piping bag with a large tip so then it doesn't come out, too small or anything like that. And we'll be getting prepared to put it in the oil, which is currently heating up to about 300, 325.
Okay, now what we're gonna do is measure out 1 cup of heavy cream. Make sure you keep your cup on the table. Don't hold it for it. It's not gonna be accurate. Right. Now, get yourself a small saucepan. Pour that heavy cream in there. Bring it over to your oven, stove. Samira, you can just lay that in there and put it on medium heat. You can just make a thermometer.
I can leave it?
Yeah,
I've never used one of those before.
Okay. You're gonna leave it on the medium heat until it comes to a simmer, and what you're gonna see is like little bubbles form at the edges, not like boiling where it's all bubbly and whatever, just like tiny little bubbles that form around the edges.
How hot do you want the cream to be?
How what?
Can you use a thermometer to see how hot the cream is?
Yeah, you would do that. You would like to take the temperature of what your cream is, make sure it doesn't get too hot. You don't want to scorch it. Make sure it's not too cold. You want it to simmer. I would use a thermometer, but my chef took mine. Check your temperature.
And while we're waiting for Jordyn to get her thermometer back, we are making sure we get every bit of the batter off of the whisk. And we're going to scrape the sides, and we're getting ready to put it inside of our piping bag.
Now, I know you guys can't see it, but over here you can see tiny little bubbles forming at the edges. But we're going to wait until it goes all the way around the saucepan.
Yes?
Why is it important to make sure there's no flour on the dough?
Why there's no flour inside of the
Dough, yeah.
any clumps and stuff like that?
Yeah.
It is important because if you were going to be piping your batter and there's clumps of flour, you would want to bite into a churro that is just filled with a bunch of flour, and on top of that, that can cause your churro to actually fall apart because it's not sticking together.
Alright, our heavy cream has come to a simmer. What we're going to do is take this over, get a bowl big enough to fit everything in there. Chocolate and cold. And we're just going to pour it over all the chocolate. Make sure you cover it all. You're going to cover it with tin foil or plastic wrap, whatever you have.
I just don't want to lose it. It's mine. No. They have one. I would just say
We're going to cover it and let it sit for about 5 minutes. You don't want to stir it. If you stir it too soon, it's just going to end up chunky and not smooth, especially the way you want it. For about 5 minutes from now, we'll be all ready to go. And while we wait for that, we're going to make our cinnamon sugar for our churros. No, a teaspoon. Sorry. A teaspoon. 1.5 teaspoon of cinnamon. Okay, so I'm going here.
And for my piping bag, I am prepping my piping bag and I'm rolling out the ends actually so it's easier for me to use the spatula and put the batter inside of it. And for ends that are this big, you just put it in there. There's usually an attachment that you can put that'll make sure that it doesn't fall out. But with these, you just cut it to the sizing. I'm going to push it down, see where I have to cut it at, and then we cut it from there. And because our batter has been mixing for quite some time, the color has gotten lighter, which is good indications of yummy churros.
Right up here, Zamira.
We're just going to mix that around.
Your pack of scissors.
Right. So, chocolate ganache should be good now. Take off the tin foil. I'm going to slowly start to mix the chocolate in with the heavy cream. It's going to look all piecey and chunky at first, but just keep mixing it and it'll get all smooth like you want it.
And so far we have our piping bag set. The end has been cut. We have it like this. And it's good to hopefully put your batter inside. Now I'm going to go check on the oil.
You want the consistency to be kind of like a, sort of the same as a pancake batter, just not as thick. You know, if you like, some people like to add cinnamon to theirs, chili, whatever you prefer. You can see it's slowly starting to come into like a creamy kind of texture.
And this is how our batter looks like. It is thick.
You can see it starting to get bigger. You can see by how it drips off your wrist. It's not watery like the heavy cream. Just keep mixing it until you don't see any more chunks of chocolate. If chocolate's not melting all the way, you can fish it out if you're done.
8 minutes.
You know, chocolate ganache actually doesn't originate in Spain, even if we eat it with churros. Does anyone know where it originates? Where?
Mexico.
No. I mean, that's incorrect. Where? Yes, from France. It originates from France.
You know, Jordyn speaks a little French herself.
Yeah, I do.
Bonjour.
You know, it's very easy to say chocolate in French.
I also know.
tastes good. You know, I remember in French class, the first thing they taught us was how to say chocolate, you know, and every other food. So you were getting French lessons and Spanish lessons all at once.
How do you say chocolate in French?
So instead of like saying like chocolate, your CH would sound like SH, so you'd say chocolat. You know, anyone want to try it out?
Don't say that in front of the 8th grader.
I won't. You know, Miss Amtower's going to be there. She's going to get on me about that. Can we get a time, please?
We have 6 minutes.
Okay. Good thing that we have our batter in the bag. And we are ready to do our churros. Our temperature is good. Oh, we are ready. For piping, we are going to just take a smooth approach, and we're going to create lines.
Some people like to do it kind of in like a horseshoe shape. You don't have to do it like that.
And I'm going to use a bed scraper because it does get stuck to your end when you're piping it out. And as you go, be mindful. Because we're working with hot oil, you want to be careful. And another important thing, when your food is ready to eat, you want to make sure you have gloves on, which is why, as I'm going and putting these on here, Jordyn will be coating the churros in a cinnamon sugar. You want a nice little brown color, not too much, and you want to make sure that your churros rest on the parchment paper before you put it in the cinnamon sugar, because if oil gets into the cinnamon sugar, it's gonna not look so good. Let's just say that. Never want to use plastic when working with something hot, or else it'll melt it down. We have our first churro. We're going to let sit for 5 seconds around that time. And Jordyn can go in with her cinnamon sugar now. Just toss that in. Then you can see how Jordyn is tossing it. You want to make sure that you cook it well. Even if it looks done, you might eat it a little longer because of the fact that it's a batter. You might eat battery inside. You don't want to eat some raw churros. You want to check first off everything?
Yeah, I'd only do a couple. You don't need to do it all for the demo.
What?
Only do a couple for the demo. You won't need to do all that whole batch. Okay?
Yeah, I figured. Let's sit for a few seconds. I'll save you a number. I'll do this one for you. dry because it's absorbing.
Another minute.
Start plating. I'll take those three. Alright, we're gonna start plating. When plating, presentation is extremely important. For our plating, we want to make sure that first, put some gloves on. Size small. I have smaller hands than most. Sometimes you go medium, large, whichever. Make sure your hands are dry because putting on your gloves are a lot more complicated with wet, moist hands. We have our chocolate ganache. And you just want to make sure before you present something, you always practice it. But today, we're going to go right for it. I'm going to start by using the top of the spoon. I'm not going to use the end because I want to keep it back clean. I'm going to take a nice scoop, not too much. Pop that right on there. Do a nice streak like that. And then Jordyn will be putting our churros on top. And after you have your glovies, you want to use them dirty.
Oh, yeah, you're gonna put it next to it. Yeah, look at that.
Call it a day, bro.
Ta-da!
Yeah. Bro, Jordyn. What? You were shaking so bad. No, because I was trying. No.
You got 42.
We can fix that. It was her freaking putting in the piping bag.
Oh my goodness.
Took 10 years to do that.
Literally, if I knew I had to like do it for longer, then I like.
What else was I supposed to say when I was making the ganache, bro?
I don't know.
Like, actually.
Yeah.
I think it might be worth weighing the flour.
What?
Wait. Okay. Grams?
Was it hard to pipe? It looked thick.
Really? I was just shaking. I don't know why.
We were shaking.
We were shaking. Like, it was easy to type, but my thing was like, I was shaking so bad because I was like, I'm trying to get like.
So when you pack it against the side, and then it'll get hard to pipe. So for example, you will put the flour, you can do dry milk. When you pack it against the side, whereas if you scoop it out, scrape it, you know what I'm saying?
So I'll level it. Yeah.
So I was just worried about them coming out of the piping bag, but you were able to do it.
Yeah, that
I need
happened
some
before.
feedback.
I was so scared.
We should work on our plating. Because I don't know.
Yeah. Why don't you practice?
Yeah.
Think of the rest of them.
I think it's a little doughy, so I didn't cook that one properly.
Again, I think it's both
The flour.
to do with
Because there was just starting to get like long.
Okay. Here's what we got to do next. Do your stations. You guys worry about writing down the equipment list. Anything you forgot, make sure you take note of all the equipment you need. While they're there doing that, let's work on the rest of the kitchen. Whoever's a dish, do dish. Once the kitchen's looking a little better, I'm gonna have a couple people fill some macaroons right before we're done. Okay. Alright, who's shoe chef? Alright, get a move.
I was like,
Yeah, who wants to do dish?
I'll do dish.
Well, you're on dish, but I'm saying.
I got it.
Did you guys stop the recording?
Oh, stop it. Do swap.
On the top.